I'll be breaking down Kamisato Ayaka's kits into easy to understand chunks, look into her different playstyles, and help you decide if she is right for you. If you're new here, hello, I'm Hushings. I suck at the game, so I compensate with knowledge. Here's everything you need to know about Ayaka. Sit back, here's some salt, leave a like, let's get right into it. Ayaka is from the Inazuma region. She passes her time practicing swordsmanship, slicing falling snowflakes during snowy days. Very fitting since her vision is Cryo. She was designed before Genshin Impact was even released, but now we see light as the release of the Inazuma region is getting closer. That doesn't mean her kit is outdated though. She has gone through several reworks and buffs not long ago to bring her up to and even above some characters currently in the game. Yes, she might just be better than Diluc and even Ganyu in some situations. How is this even possible? Well, let's take a closer look at what Kamisato Ayaka actually does with her abilities. One of the special things Ayaka can do would be her dash, Kamisato Art's Senho. Senho meaning ice pellets or soft hail steps, where instead of dashing like other characters, she disappears into the ground just like Mona, but will be much snappier than Mona's because of shorter animations and flowing with Ayaka's attacks much better. When you stop dashing and Ayaka emerges from the ground, she applies Cryo, just like how Mona applies Hydro, but it also infuses Ayaka's attacks with Cryo for 5 seconds, which enables her 100% Cryo uptime. Cutting snowflakes really do pay off, but there is actually more to this ability. If we take a closer look, the dash will cost 10 stamina to activate and 15 stamina per second to sustain. This works seamlessly with her Ascension 4 passive, which when Ayaka applies Cryo with her dash, it refunds 10 stamina and provides a 10% Cryo damage buff. This is huge because if you dip into Ayaka's dash and come right back up next to an enemy, the dash basically costs 0 stamina. If you like to dash cancel like a madman, and I'm guilty of that, now your dash cancels are free, and Hoothow mains know how nice it is to have free dash cancels. If you think that's pretty sweet, subscribe and comment Ayaka come home, and I'll personally wish you good luck. Now that we know how Ayaka's dash can be a very useful asset in combat, unlike Mona's which just give me headaches, it can also be super useful if you want to travel over water. You can even use Ayaka's skill Kamisato Art, Ayaka, to rest and regenerate some stamina and reach faraway lands just like that. You can pretty much fire the local bridgeman if you have Ayaka. But other than creating ice platforms, Ayaka's skill does decent damage and it triggers her Ascension 1 passive, which boosts her normal and charge attack damage by a massive 30%. And now we know both Ayaka's dash and skill along with her Ascension passives all tie into her normal and charge attacks. So how good are her attacks? And does her core playstyle revolve around them? Let's take a closer look. Ayaka's attack animations are elegant and fast, and the charge attack in particular caught my attention. It is much faster than Kaya's charge attack and just slightly slower than Keqing's, but hits harder than both of them. And if you didn't know, Keqing and Kaya are considered the best and second best longsword DPSs right now. Ayaka also has the ability to freeze enemies, so when you use her charge attacks, you won't even have to chase enemies around. Unlike Keqing. Visible rage. So Ayaka's charge attacks are strong and all, but we already have a bunch of characters that do just that. Is there anything else she can offer? Well, her ult might just push her over the top. With her Kamisato art Soumetsu, which means to annihilate with frost, Ayaka condenses frost to unleash 3 storms of whirling icy winds called Sulcan Gates that slashes repeatedly. We are just gonna call this the meat grinder. Or the lawnmower. Let's go with the lawnmower. When the lawnmowers are unleashed, they push small enemies along, but stop and stick to most larger enemies, like when you run a lawnmower against a bush, but this one faces the front and just eats the bush. Anyways, Ayaka's ult slashes 20 times before blooming and dealing some extra damage at the end, all within 5 seconds. And its damage is no joke, hitting almost 3,900% at talent level 8 and over 4,300% at talent level 10. To put this into perspective, here are some top ultimates from 5-star characters, and nothing comes close to Ayaka's ult damage. But there's even more. If you happen to unlock her second constellation, 2 extra smaller Sulcan Gates will be unleashed, covering a larger area. And at Constellation 4, enemies damaged by Sulcan Gates will have their defenses decreased by 30% for 6 seconds. And because the gates last 5 seconds, this debuff can last for 11 seconds. This is huge because shredding defense is so incredibly rare and valuable. It is so good that I'm considering selling my kidneys to get this. But with great power comes great energy bills. Ayaka's ult costs 80 energy and on a 20-second cooldown. But we do have the cutest support plus battery to remedy that, and if we use Senho as well, he also generates a ton of energy. So the heavy cost really isn't a big issue. So how does Ayaka's whole kit come together? And how does she stack up to current top characters? Well, unless you have her at C4, I don't really think there's much point in playing her as support, so I am going to focus on exploring her main DPS side of things. You will be able to use Ayaka's skill to buff her normal and charge attacks, and then proceed to spam set attacks while cancelling her animations with her dash, until the buff to her attacks runs out. Then cast her ult to bridge the buff downtime. Switching to a support would be a good idea here, and use her skill again, spam a few more charge attacks, then switch back to supports. If that was too complicated, just remember, press E, charge attack, go burr, press Q, meat grinder, everything dies, profit. And based on this, we can speculate how strong Ayaka will be, but have your salt ready. Because Ayaka can attack with Cryo 100% of the time, she would be best played either in a freeze team or a melt team. We don't know how she interacts with Pyro yet because ICD and technical things, but let's focus on what I think will be her best playstyle, freeze. You might not be familiar with this playstyle because we don't have a lot of options, so here's what a freeze team can do. You can charge attack all day because mobs won't be flying. Think sis and mages are annoying not when they're frozen and dying. You won't need to strafe because you'll be really safe. Destroying your enemies is really that easy. Jokes aside, freeze teams are really fun to play. You can bring more DPS characters because you don't really need heals or shields and mono tech is really OP. But freeze reactions don't deal extra damage, you might think. So how is Ayaka going to compete? Well, by base damage. Ayaka has so much damage built into her abilities that she doesn't really need reactions to deal extra damage. She might even deal more damage than Diluc and even Ganyu in some situations, though give Ganyu a few more targets and her damage goes through the roof. Ayaka has the potential to exceed Ganyu's DPS when against single big targets or groups of enemies where you can't group them tightly with a Venti ult, which makes her one of, if not the strongest character when it comes to those situations. Plus, one of her best weapons might just be super free to play friendly, but I'll go into Ayaka's best weapons in depth in my next video. I'll also be taking a deep dive into her artifacts soon, because the 2 new sets that are coming with Inazuma look really interesting for Ayaka. So hold on before you farm the Cryo artifact domain, and subscribe so you don't miss that video. Ayaka is going to be really strong, and if you like Ayaka's character, playstyle, or VA, then I wish you good luck and I hope you get her. But remember, don't spend money you cannot afford to spend. Ayaka is just a bunch of pixels that line up really beautifully on your screen. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video or learned something new, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!